Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to everyone. Time is tight. I will try to be focused. First, I have to really extend sincere thanks and gratitude to the organizers, to the host country, starting with the President of the Republic, all the organizing parties, particularly the Administrative Control Authority, and I'm afraid if I'm going to express all the thanks I have in mind, I'll take up the 5 minutes that you've given me, so I will skip that and leave it to another opportunity. I'm representing the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, which is present in more than 50 African countries and more than 176 countries around the world. And our main business is development. Our main job is to support development. And for us, in recent years, it has become very evident that development is not possible with corruption. And I'll give one number. We've heard a lot of numbers, but I'll give one number related to Africa. For every $1 that comes into Africa as foreign aid, as international aid, $5 leave Africa as a result of corruption and crime. If that number doesn't get us moving on the issue of corruption, I'm not sure what else would. I wanted to talk about the issue of effectiveness. And it seemed to me that we need to take a step back to really establish a common understanding of what effectiveness means. And I will, because in this continent, as well in the Arab region, we like metaphors and imagery. I will use, since everybody also is flying from so many places, I will use the metaphor of the airplane. So when we talk about effectiveness of anti-corruption, I'll use the metaphor of a plane. To be effective, for a plane to be effective, to be able to travel, to get people places, you need enablers, an enabling environment. You need wind, you need air, you need this kind of enabling environment. But you also need a good plane. The enabling environment is political and civic space. You need to have the freedoms, the right institutions. It's also socioeconomic policies, a good economic model, etc. I'm not going to dwell on that. You have the enablers, but you need to have the right plane. And the right plane is the anti-corruption system that you have. The right laws, the right institutions, the right people. And I'm afraid most of the focus when we talk about anti-corruption has really wanted to make that plane a fighter jet that only wants to bomb the corrupt. And unfortunately, when it comes to anti-corruption, you need a multi-purpose plane. You need a plane that can do more than one function, not only do investigations, but also do prevention. But still, I haven't reached effectiveness. The enablers is one thing, the tools is another thing, but effectiveness, what is effectiveness? Effectiveness is at many things, but at least three. One, the public perception. Do they feel that corruption is under control? Is their experience with the public administration, with the private sector, a positive one? Is money being saved as a result of your anti-corruption work? Are you recovering money? Are you preventing the loss and the leakage of money? Without such data and such indicators, we cannot really talk about effectiveness. We will spend many years talking about building the plane and having the ideal plane, but that plane will never really take off and fly. For that purpose, I wanted to highlight just a few ideas that can enhance effectiveness of anti-corruption in Africa, but also learning from comparative experiences in the continent and elsewhere. One very important tool to achieve effectiveness is access to information. And it's true, there are some countries in the region that have adopted laws. Effectiveness is another issue. But still, many countries are encouraged to really adopt laws. And this is in line with the UN Convention Against Corruption, Article 10, Article 13. So access to information, the right to information, is a critical tool for transparency, for public engagement, and even for the control authorities to tackle corruption. The second one is conflict of interest systems. And again, you have provisions that are scattered in many laws But again, comprehensive, effective systems to identify and manage conflicts of interest, especially between the public and the private sector, remains an area that needs to be addressed. Asset declarations. Most of the countries in the continent have asset declaration system, but a few of them are really have been adapted and updated to respond to the requirements of the UN Convention and to good practices. So that's also another room for work. I'm just going to mention those three, access to information, conflict of interest, and asset declaration, to say that there are many other tools that are often maybe given less importance than the typical tools that we hear about, which is criminal law and investigation. And I will conclude with this idea. It appears to everybody, and everybody agrees, seems to agree, that, you know, effectiveness is about putting people in prison, corrupt people in prison, and that's very important. More than 85% of the budgets of anti-corruption authorities are dedicated to receive complaints, process complaints, investigate complaints, and refer them to courts, with very little return on investment in terms of actual prosecutions and convictions. It costs, if you want to convict a high-level official, approximately $2 million. It costs the government if you want to count investigation, prosecution, going to the first instance court, to the appellate court, to the Supreme Court. And then even if you convict, and we all know the complexity of getting convictions, especially I'm talking about high-level corruption crimes. Can we recover the assets? Can we fix the damage that has happened to society? Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't focus on investigations, law enforcement. It is the fighter jet that we need, but we also need prevention. And prevention, colleagues, is not awareness. And here, I might disagree very respectfully with a lot that has been said. I think people know what is corruption and that corruption is bad. Maybe they don't know the details. It is really, we need to invest in awareness and education for sure, but prevention is not only awareness. Prevention is many sciences. It's risk management. How many countries have integrated scientifically in ministries corruption risk management processes? How many countries have really used behavioral sciences to promote behavioral change? And there are many examples, including in this continent, good examples. In Morocco, transactional bribery was reduced in 5 hospitals by 30% without changing any laws, without putting anyone in prison, just by introducing a behavioral initiative. In Tunisia, 20% in 3 public hospitals, the budget of the pharmaceutical budget was reduced by 20%, not reduced, saved 20%, because of a risk management initiative put in place. I will finish by saying that if we want to invest in anti-corruption, we need to invest more in prevention beyond awareness, and that requires to be open to the new tools and the new innovations in the field. And I hope that this can be the beginning, and to congratulate everybody who has been around this forum, especially the dynamic leadership of the Administrative Control Authority, quite dynamic and something that is really promising, to really take the lead in introducing these innovations, because I am sure that with such innovations, more progress and more effectiveness can be achieved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arkan.